What's going on, New York Giants fans? Hit Squad back at it with another video, and we have episode 3 of the Giant Breakdown. We're going overseas today. We have the German Bear talking to us about some Chicago Bears football. It's going to be a fun one. New friend, new to the channel. You guys can find the German Bears links to his YouTube as well as to his Twitter in the description below. But my friend, how are you doing? It's been a little hectic over here, as you know, but how's everything been with you?
Hey man, I'm doing fine, man. I just overall, first of all, appreciated having me on. Such a pleasure talking some Bears Giants with you. Definitely sub to him, man. Join the Hit Squad. It's such a pleasure, and I'm just excited for this match breakdown, man.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. And just like the German Bear said, if you haven't already, join the Hit Squad. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like, as well as your thoughts on this video below. And again, don't forget to sub up the German Bear on his YouTube channel. Now, we got the Chicago Bears this week, Giants fans. We're coming off of a very disappointing loss against the Dallas Cowboys. Feels like a kick to the stomach. And, coming out of this game, we're losing Sterling Shepard. We got to see our premier edge rushers play. They had little impacts in the game, but there was really not much to expect considering this will be their first time on the field. But it seems year in and year out, this is a familiar team that the Giants play in the Chicago Bears. We've seen some good games by us. We've seen some really good games by the Chicago Bears. Man, I just want to quickly ask you, how are these rookies looking? How are they looking going into week 4?
I mean, overall, I'm impressed by some, and some are still struggling to just catch up to the NFL level, right? Starting off, when we look at Kyler Gordon, first pick that we made in the second round, obviously, with the pick traded away with you guys for Justin Fields last year. I think Kyler Gordon has been struggling so far, and I think a lot of fans are overreacting to his performance so far. I think in general, he's doing a okay job. He gets beat once to twice a game. That's what he just does at the moment, and it's just because he's playing probably the toughest position in Matt Eberflus's defense, which is that nickel spot for him. But I mean, that was expected with him having a rough start. Corner is always a tough position to play at in the NFL, especially as a rookie. But I mean, 2 to 3 rookies that really impressed me so far was definitely, first of all, Jaquan Brisker. He's been doing phenomenal so far, all over the field. They switch him up, going deep, covering a deep third, whatever, or cover 2. Also goes down in the box against the run, tackles well, and then he's just really a big lockdown guy against tight ends. He does well against them. That was really not surprising he did that in college, but really nice to see in the NFL level that it translates to it. And then 5th round, I think Ryan Poles really found some diamonds in the rough with Braxton Jones, who's now the starter at left tackle. He has some ups and downs, as you expect, with probably the toughest position at the offensive line. But I mean, he is really holding his own. He's doing well in the run game, and in the pass pro, he always looked good in college. But now facing better rushers, he's still doing a pretty good job. So I love what he's doing, and then also Dominique Robinson, man, he is an athletic freak. I think started playing edge rusher 2 to 3 years ago. Before that was a wide receiver, so he has all the athleticism, and he's already showed how he can translate to the football field as an edge rusher. So he's really an interesting guy to look at. And one guy that I'm really excited for against the Giants is Velus Jones Jr. because he was a full participant for the first time this season in practice today on Friday. So he was really a player I was excited about because he brings explosiveness to the offense. We only saw it in preseason week 2 against the Seahawks, but this man can play a big role in that offense, especially with some receivers being down now for us at the moment. Just like with you guys, you got a problem there as well. And
Yeah.
I'm excited what he can do in the first game action he sees, actually.
No, definitely. And Jaquan Brisker, I think, is playing very good for a rookie. You saw that in college. He looked pretty stout. I think that he's a player that could be a nice cornerstone piece for you guys going forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a player that the Giants are going to have to look at because I think there are plays going back and watching him that he could have came up with an interception. And there's plays that I don't know if it's communication. I don't know if it's maybe just the complexity to Eberflus's defense, but he's looking like a stud. And for me, I think with the New York Giants, our rookies are looking to bounce back. I mean, Evan Neal came off of his worst game ever in his professional career, let alone his collegiate career. He's going to be looking to really bounce back against Chicago, who, not for nothing, they have a very stout defense in their own respect, even with Khalil Mack not being there. But for the Giants, I mean, this is going to be a tough game. You mentioned, our wide receiver core. I mean, our wide receiver core is looking very thin and not so promising at the moment. Our top available wide receivers going into this week are Richie James, David Sills, Kenny Galladay, and Darius Slayton. As a Giants fan, I'm not too excited to see that. There's potential there, but at the same time, it's going to be very hard for the Giants. And I think both teams are relatively in the same area. But they didn't
Yeah.
have a lot of cap space going into the season. They made little moves in free agency. Our offensive lines are looking a little suspect at the moment, but our defenses are really strong. One thing I want to ask with Justin Fields, I know that a lot of people are talking about how his 3 game stretch at the moment, he's not playing his best ball. I think statistically, yes, it's not his best ball, but I think when you look at the receivers and the offensive line, he's doing really all he can. It's like there's things that he can improve on, but I think he's really doing all he can due to the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, for the Bears overall, it's tough to put it all on Justin Fields, right? He's still only 13, 14 starts into his career. I think the offensive line had a really strong game against the Texans, and that was definitely on him that game. He missed some open guys left and right in that game. I don't know what he was seeing. He just didn't seem comfortable with the offense or confident in his own throws right there. But overall, so far, I think he has a tough position to be in right now. Like you said, the cap space is not really there to spend much this year. So it's a tough situation for him to be in. I think he still has to improve. I think he has a talent to do that. I mean, he's learning a new offense with Luke Getsy. He brings a completely different style of play than Matt Nagy used to do. It was lots of shotgun in here with him, and now Luke Getsy comes with lots of under center runs, play actions, 2, 3 tight end sets in there as well. So I think it's just a learning curve for him right now,
Mhm.
and he's definitely looking to bounce back. I mean, he said it himself after the Texans game. He admitted, quote, like he played like trash. He said it himself. So he's looking to bounce back. I think he has a mentality to do that. I think he's really that type of guy. And I mean, it's just for him going through the progressions and just the offense clicking because there are wide receivers open. They can help him at times, but it's either him not finding them or the offensive line struggling to pass protect. This is really the weakness for them right now because in the run game, we know both teams are strong, Giants
Yeah.
and Bears, but yeah, Justin just has to get more comfortable in the offense. I think Luke Getsy has to do a better job at that at times too, just with some quicker passes, quick dropbacks, not always just bootlegs, because we saw Justin Fields get killed on those against the Packers, against Jalen Petrie from the Texans, who was just screaming off the edge and not biting on it at all. So there's still room to improve for him, but I'm still very high on him, and I think he can overcome that. It's just, like I said, a huge learning curve at the moment.
Definitely. And I think that he'll get adjusted to it. I mean, second year in the league, this is going to be his, second offensive coordinator that he's dealt with
Yeah.
so far. So, as a Giants fan, we can definitely relate, with Daniel Jones just constantly having different offensive coordinators and this not really being anything different. The Giants, they are having a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, and really on the offensive side of the ball, it's a very complex offense. And it also doesn't help considering the fact that we don't have receivers, at least going into this game, outside of Richie James and Darius Slayton, if the Giants decide to play Darius Slayton, that can create separation. David Sills is a big body wide receiver, same with Kenny Galladay. And when you look at this offense, I mean, it's like you stated, I mean, it's going to come down to this run game. Both teams have very strong run games. I think for the Giants, they're going to have their hands full. With Dallas, outside of Dallas, we've been able to contain the run games of opposing teams, same like with Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey. But last week, the presence of Leonard Williams was missed. He will not be playing against Chicago. Our linebackers weren't hitting their gaps. It was really bad linebacker play. And that's what I worry about because if you can contain Justin Fields, which I believe that Wink Martindale can do, but you let this run attack just constantly run the ball down your throat, you're not going to be able to get this team off of the field. And that's going to be a challenge for the Giants. Can they stop this run attack? Because I think Khalil Herbert's looking really nice for you guys. I mean, I think that was a player that just kind of came out of nowhere for me personally. And, you guys seem to find these running backs year in and year out that just get it done. Tariq Cohen, Jordan Howard, just to name a few from the past. So to me, this is no shock. But, I think this is really going to come down to what offense can make the fewest mistakes and capitalize on their opportunities. Because for the Giants, statistically, Daniel Jones didn't have a good game last week. But when you go back and you watch the game, he was constantly under pressure. The offensive line in the pass protect just was not getting it done. He was
Yeah.
constantly getting hit. Our interior was getting exposed. And really, the only people that came to play was Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. So, they're going to be asked a lot going into this week. I'm hoping, and I'm sure a lot of Giants fans are hoping, that Daniel Jones can really build off of this win. This loss against the Dallas Cowboys, because he played fairly solid. And he's a player that a lot of fans, let alone the organization, are looking at this year. He really has to prove himself this year. It's a little hard when, your offensive line isn't giving you time, your receivers aren't creating separation, your receivers can't stay healthy on the field. For me, it's hard to evaluate a quarterback in that respect. But in my honest opinion, when you look at this Chicago Bears team, like I stated earlier, they are very similar to the Giants. Pressures allowed per drop back, the Giants are 32nd, the Bears are 31st. Sacks allowed per drop back, the Bears are 32nd, the Giants are 31st. Yards per pass, the Giants are 30th, the Bears are 31st. The Giants are actually averaging more yards on the ground than they are through the air, which is a little surprising. I think for when you look at Mike Kafka coming from the Chiefs, Brian Dable coming from the Bills, those are two pass happy offenses. Now granted, at the moment we don't have the talent to really do that. So we're really running the ball a lot with Saquon and getting him involved in the passing game as well. But for the Giants, it's again going to come down to, can you really capitalize on your opportunities? Because one thing for us, we can't score in the first half for some reason. We can't. I don't know what it is. We cannot score touchdowns in the first half. If we do, they're always in the second half. And that has to change. It really has to change. So this is an important game for the Giants. We're going to be unveiling our legacy uniforms this Sunday. We'll also be wearing them against Washington in December. On top of that, for the Giants, we got the Packers and the Ravens coming up after Chicago. So this is definitely not a game where you want to start a losing streak, because things can get ugly very quick. Now, for the
Yeah.
Bears, I feel that, when you got, at least for me, I think when you look at your schedule and, you're looking at the Giants, I mean, I'm sure that you guys are thinking this is a game that you guys can win too, considering the fact of our struggles.
Yeah, I mean the Bears have just it's crazy. Like when you said it, what the struggles is with the Giants right now. I mean the Bears and the Giants are really similar when he said it because both teams are struggling to pass it on offense, and it's not really because of the offensive coordinator. I would imagine it's just because the game doesn't allow it for them how it unveils because the offensive line is not executing as it should be, and the passing attack for both teams, and for the Bears, I can at least say it's just what works best for you at the moment. And this is the run game. The passing attack is just not really unveiling. And the Bears are definitely looking for a win here, of course. And it's just coming down to the wire. We talked about that. It's just which quarterback can make the least mistakes, basically, because the passing attacks are not looking strong. I think there's
Yeah.
still lots of things we have to develop. And it's just, like I said, that connection with everybody. It's not clicking on offense. It's a huge struggle at the moment. And let's see what can actually change something in there. But it will be interesting because, like I said, both teams have very similar paths. Obviously, different type how they went there with your guys' win over Tennessee, which was a good win for you guys, and then the win against the Panthers was amazing too. As for us, it was just that crazy week one game against the 49ers with all the
Impressive.
rain. Like this was unexpected, but also like unfair to judge anybody in that game because it was just such bad conditions. And then you got the Packers, obviously horrible loss in prime time against your rival. at Lambeau. That was definitely a tough one. And then you bounce back against the Texans, which is obviously a team you don't want to lose to, and you also want to show something. And Justin Fields didn't. So that kind of worries me. But I mean, like I said, everybody's just overreacting at the moment with Justin Fields. I think everybody just has to take a step back and let him develop, actually.
No, and I actually agree with you 100%. Giants fans, we can understand when, people will overreact by a week to week basis, and I agree with you. I don't think that it's fair to, really evaluate Justin Fields between 3 games.
Yeah,
Let this guy get adjusted to the NFL. Let him get adjusted to this new offense. And for the Giants, you had fans after this loss just talking about wanting to trade our left tackle, who's a franchise left tackle, for a wide receiver. Like that doesn't make any sense.
no.
And it's just you ask any other fan base, and it's just comical. That doesn't make any sense. You don't do that. So, again, it's really going to come down to, who can capitalize on their opportunities. Now, for the Giants, on the defensive side of the ball, looking at Chicago's offense, I mean, Kayvon and Azeez Ojulari, they didn't have the best games against Dallas. Azeez Ojulari drew some penalties, which you want to see. That's telling me that he's creating havoc on the other side. But at the same time, there was no sacks. They weren't hitting the quarterback. They were able to get false starts as well, but again, not really hitting the QB. So going
Yeah,
against a somewhat worse offensive line than what
it
Dallas
is. It
has,
is.
um,
No question.
they should be able to at least gain some confidence and try to attack these QBs. Now, at the same token, I could absolutely see Robert Quinn being paired on Evan Neal, who didn't have a good game going against DeMarcus Lawrence. Andrew Thomas is playing like a top tackle right now. He's really building off of the year he had last year, where I was saying I thought he played like a top five tackle. And now he's just shutting down premier edge rushers. Teams are learning that the rookie right tackle is struggling a little bit. But for me personally, this offensive line has to play better. I got to see better production from our wide receiver corps. And, we really have to get this offense off of the field for the Chicago Bears. Because, again, if you guys are just going to be able to run the ball on us, control the clock, whether that's between Khalil Herbert or Justin Fields using his legs, which he's a dangerous person when he can get his legs going,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard for the Giants. I don't think it's going to be a unwinnable game. I have the Giants winning this game, but it's going to be it's not a team that I think the Giants should overlook by any stretch of the means.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, for offense running game, obviously the Bears will miss David Montgomery, and I think that 1-2 punch with him and Herbert is pretty dangerous. We saw it last week against the Texans. David Herbert, Khalil Herbert can take over games. He showed that last year too. I mean, there was a stretch where David Montgomery was actually injured, and Herbert was one of the most rushing yards between 4 weeks, I think, in that stretch. So he has showed up as a RB2. It's really a good thing to have. And then we have rookie Treston Ebner in there too. I really liked what I saw out of him in preseason. He's a really good receiving back. You can use him like that in this offense. So it will be interesting how they involve him because he will get more touches now, obviously, with David Montgomery being out for that game at least. So I think the Bears just have to pound the rock and find a way. And coming to your point with the defense, I mean, the defensive line for the Bears will be interesting against this offensive line. Like you said, Andrew Thomas is absolutely amazing. He's incredible. I watched this game or the game tape against the Panthers. I mean, he was incredible. He's really good. And I think for the Bears on defense, for the pass rushers, you really have to attack Evan Neal because or at least the interior as well. I think this is where they really have to attack it. And what Alan Williams, the DC, so far has done is bringing blitzes through the middle, not blitzes, but put his edge rushers on the guards. And this is something I really like because he puts Dominique Robinson, who's just super fast, and he learns from Robert Quinn. Like that connection is really showing up. Like that hop swipe move that Robert Quinn does, which is basically his premier pass rush move that he most of the time just does. Dominique Robinson picked up on that and got the chance to beat Mike McGlinchey and Trent Williams of the 49ers right there with this move for 1.5 sacks right there. So he has really showed development. And if he can continue to do that on interior offensive linemen, and also talking about Travis Gibson and Al-Quadin Muhammad, I think they really have a chance to pressure Daniel Jones. And this has to be the key to stop the pass game, obviously. So I like how they mix it up on the defensive line. And like you said, Evan Neal might be the point that you want to attack because Andrew Thomas is not letting anybody through the edge. I don't know if they will put Robert Quinn on a Neal that often because I think Travis Gibson is also a really talented pass rusher. You mentioned Khalil Mack earlier. When he went down last year, he really showed up. Travis Gibson, fifth-round pick from, I think, 2 years now. He's doing really good. And I think he even had 2 sacks against the Packers, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just about all the guys as edge rushers. They have a good rotation with 4 guys, and just they need to get fresh legs in at almost every single down. And then I think they can really pressure Daniel Jones in this game.
Definitely, man. And I think, if I'm correct, Robert Quinn set the franchise record for you guys last year in sacks.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, this was crazy.
it was, considering the fact that I thought, if anything, Khalil Mack would have gotten that. So, I think Robert Quinn, I mean, he's not a player you want to just roll your eyes at. When he gets hot, he gets hot. And, for the Giants, our weakness right now on the O-line is our interior. Dallas really exposed that by putting Micah coming through our guards, and making them just look really bad. So for the Giants, they're gonna have their hands full. I want to see them run the ball a little bit more. They're gonna have to, considering again who's gonna be on our wide receiving core going into this game. So I'm looking at Saquon Barkley to have a very big game. He got that really scary injury playing you guys 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So he's gonna want to look to have a nice bounce back game. I think this team overall is gonna want to try to bounce back after that really disappointing loss against Dallas. But it's not gonna come easy. It's not gonna come easy whatsoever. I respect the Bears defense. I respect Justin Fields as a player because again, if he could get out the pocket, he can be very deadly. And I think that not just with his legs, but with his arm too. I mean, he saw that against the San Francisco 49ers. So this is not going to be an easy game, but I do think it's going to be a fun game. But while I have you here, the German Bear, what are your score predictions for this game?
I mean, I think it will be a close game, not too high scoring. I think both teams will give a good fight, and it's just all about stopping the run in this one, stopping the run and just limiting the mistakes by your own quarterback. And overall, I have it 24-21 for the Bears, so I'm sticking with them. I trust Justin Fields to bounce back. Let's see how he does against the Giants. It's not an easy defense to play at. I think Wink Martindale will give him so many different looks that he might turn crazy. But let's see how he responds to that. Let's see how he does. And I'm confident in the Bears, and hopefully they get the win. But I mean, it will be a tough one, and I'm hoping for a good game.
Yeah, you and I both, man. I mean, I'm hoping for a very good game. I mean, it seems to be really fun when the Giants play Chicago, whether that's at, Soldier Field, whether that's at MetLife. Always seems to be a good game. I Similar scores almost. I have the Giants winning 24-17 in a close one. Again, this it's really going to come down to what offense could capitalize on their opportunities, who can run the ball better. I'm throwing a prediction out there that Kenny Galladay will get his first touchdown with the New York Giants, which is really sad to say because he's on his second year now with the Giants and doesn't have a
Yeah.
touchdown. So I'm hoping this will be the game that he gets it. If not, a lot of Giants fans are going to be at this man's neck more than they already have. But you guys, let us know your thoughts below. Who do you guys think is going to win this game between the Chicago Bears and the New York Giants? I got the Giants. The German Bear got the Bears. It's going to be a really fun game. You guys can find the German Bears YouTube and Twitter in the description box. Join the Hit Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video.